today I'm taking you through Universal Studios Florida from my least favorite to my favorite, everything there is to do here. Hopefully I'll share something that you didn't know about at Universal Studios Florida, or if you're visiting for the first time, I can help you prioritize some attractions to check out. So first up, my least favorite, number 24, is Sing It. This is a street show that takes place in New York near Revenge of the Mummy. It's a a cappella singing show. Not bad, just not my cup of tea. Number 23 is Fast and Furious Supercharged. It's one of the newest attractions here at Universal Studios Florida. It actually took over 2 attractions. So behind me used to be, this fountain actually stayed here, but behind the fountain used to be the Beetlejuice show. And then next to it was Disaster, and before that it was called Earthquake. It was like an earthquake simulator. Now it is an indoor ride themed to Fast and Furious. The Fast and Furious Supercharged queue and pre-show is actually pretty good, especially if you're a fan of the movies. There's lots of Easter eggs, lots of cool cars. There's references to the former attractions and a ton of other things in the queue. And then the ride is Fast and Furious in short. And at the end of this video, I'll be listing my top 3 attractions at Universal Studios Florida, and I think they might surprise you. Vamos Bailalo is the newest street show at Universal Studios Florida, and it comes in at number 22 for me. It's a Latin dance show that takes place across this whole street in New York. It's really high energy, really talented dancers, and there's a lot of crowd participation. Definitely worth a stop if you're in the area when it's taking place. Going to need a drum roll for this next one. Coming in at number 21 is Beat Builders. This is a show that takes place right between New York and San Francisco near Louis and Fast and Furious. And it has seasonal overlays. So right now it's the Mardi Gras seasonal overlay of Beat Builders. So it's slightly different in different seasons. Talented drummers, a little short, just a little side stop when you're going from attraction to attraction. Number 20 is Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon. So it is located in New York. It's a newer ride, and it's based off the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So tons of references to the Tonight Show. And in the lobby, you can actually see former props and hosts of the Tonight Show. So that's a cool little touch. It's a recreation of 30 Rock in New York. And the ride has all kinds of Easter eggs from the show, the pre-show. My favorite part of it is actually the pre-show where they have a safety ride wrap. I think that's a cool little touch. A fun ride, I put it at number 20. Number 19 is the Simpsons ride in Springfield. It is a motion simulator indoors, and since it's a motion simulator, keep an eye out for motion sickness. If you're someone who gets it easily, this is probably the one attraction at Universal Studios Florida that's most likely to trigger motion sickness. It is a really fun tongue-in-cheek ride. Some of the jokes are really great. And I don't ride it too often, so when I ride it, like, I forget the jokes and then I hear the jokes again and laugh again. So if you don't ride it too often, I feel like it's even more funny. Something else to keep in mind or keep an eye out for, in the queue, there's actually a reference to Back to the Future, which is what this used to be. So this used to be the Back to the Future ride, and they redid the whole area. It used to be World Expo into Springfield, and then turned it into the Simpsons ride. And there is a great Easter egg in the queue. There's tons of references to all kinds of different attractions, Small World, all kinds of stuff in the Simpsons, funny tongue-in-cheek jokes. Number 18 is Ollivanders and Diagon Alley, one in each park, but this one actually has 2 showrooms, whereas the one in Islands of Adventure only has 1 room, so the queue goes a little bit faster in Diagon Alley. If you're not familiar with Ollivanders, the wand chooses the wizard in this experience, so they basically take you in small groups, and then they select one guest, usually, and you get to talk to the wand keeper, and a wand chooses you. And then you have the optional ability to purchase it at the end. And of course, anybody can purchase a wand in Ollivanders as well, but only one person in the party is selected for the whole overall experience. Number 17 is KANG and KODOS TWIRL and HURL in Springfield. And here it goes, it's actually launching as we talk. Non-refundable. I thought about putting this lower, but honestly, this is a extremely well-themed ride. So as you can see behind me, it's just a little spinner ride, suitable for families, similar to One Fish, Two Fish in Seuss Landing. But again, it is super, super themed. So all of the sayings and it varies, they have a couple of different variations of the different phrases they say while you're riding. And you're of course trying to keep your ride vehicle level to the little pop-ups. And if you keep it level to the pop-up, it like spins around. So you're aiming for the targets and you're attacking Springfield on the ride. It's a cute ride. I like it. Number 17. Hogwarts Express, King's Cross Station, I put at number 16. I know that's going to be low for some of you. Hogwarts Express is different each way. It does require a park-to-park ticket because it takes you to Islands of Adventure. And then if you take it back from Islands of Adventure, Hogsmeade Station to King's Cross, it's actually a completely different ride. In the content of the ride, it's obviously you're sitting in the same ride, but it's different content. Not my favorite attraction in the park, as evidenced by the ranking. not a bad attraction by any means, and obviously still worth doing, and probably both ways if you're a Harry Potter fan, but I think there's other better attractions at Universal Studios Florida. Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, I put at number 15 in my ranking, so it is the first attraction you see right when you walk into Universal Studios Florida. Because of that, a lot of people go to it first thing. I personally probably wouldn't recommend that because it does get busy first thing in the morning. So it's a family ride. The story is you're being turned into a minion, and fun fact, the trees along the queue here are actually banana trees. As you're probably realizing by now, Universal Studios Florida has a ton of street shows. Here's another one. This is Marilyn Monroe and the Diamond Bellas. It takes place right behind me. Over the years, it has shifted locations. So at one point it was in Hollywood, now it's back in New York. It's a fun show. Not something that I would go out of my way to see, but if you're in the area when it's taking place, I'd definitely check it out. The Wizarding World of Diagon Alley has 2 shows, and one of them I put at number 13, and that is Tales of Beedle the Bard. So these are classic stories from the Wizarding World told on stage. They have puppetry. It's cool. Not my favorite show. I'll actually talk about that soon, but it's my second favorite show in Diagon Alley, and it is a good show. Coming in at number 12 for me is ILLUMINATION'S Villain Con Minion Blast. This was a tough one to rank because, as you can perhaps see, it is not completely done. It's a few months away from opening, but we do know a lot about it at this point, so I wanted to include it in the rankings. So, like I said, it opens in the summer of 2023, and it is a moving ride where you're standing and you're zapping at the different villain booths. So you're going to the largest convention for villains, and you're going to each of their booths and then zapping as you go along, or blasting, I guess I should say. So it sounds like it'll be fun. The smell of paint is wafting through the air already, so I can tell they're getting ready for the Villain Con, and I'm excited to experience it. Transformers The Ride 3D was so close to the top 10, but it came in at number 11. So it is an indoor motion simulator that is 3D. And the storyline here is you are trying to transport the Allspark in a new Transformer named Evac. So you're riding along with Evac and transporting the Allspark away from the Decepticons to save the planet, of course. It's an enjoyable ride, really close to the top 10, like I said, and a lot of guests don't know, but it is actually 2 floors. So you can kind of tell the building's really tall, and when they built this ride, they really needed to fit it into a very specific space. And so what they did is they made it 2 floors. So very similar to the Spider-Man ride, but Spider-Man takes place all on the ground, whereas there's actually 2 spots where there's an elevator that takes you up and then an elevator that takes you down during the ride. So keep an eye out for that and see if you notice it. We have made it to the top 10. So coming in at number 10 is Animal Actors on Location. This is another one that's been around for quite a while, one of the show options here at Universal Studios Florida in the back of the park. You'll see a variety of animals, as the name implies, but they are highly trained, way more. I have 2 dogs at home. These dogs are way more trained, don't tell my dogs. And they also have a variety of other animals, cats, sometimes a skunk. I've seen pigs, otters, so you never know what you're gonna get when you visit. Honestly, I thought about putting it higher because I really do like animals, so I thought about putting it like really high, but there's so many good options at Universal Studios in the top 10, and we still have my number 2 and 3 pick coming up, which I think will probably be controversial. So Animal Actors is staying at number 10 for now. Coming in at number 9 is Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. It's a major part of the skyline here at Universal Studios Florida. A little rough, but some really cool elements. The storyline here is you're filming a music video, so you actually get to pick the soundtrack to your music video when you get on board. There's some options in the part of the menu, and then there's also a secret song option. So if you hold down the logo for about 10 seconds at the top, you can enter a 3-digit number. Just Google it, and you can get the whole list of 3-digit numbers. And it's also on Orlando Informer. And you can select a secret song to listen to as you're riding Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Number 8 is one of the originals at Universal Studios Florida. It is Horror Makeup Show. So it is not quite as scary as it sounds. It's probably not great for all ages, but most ages it is suitable for. And they take you behind the scenes in some of the movie magic and horror prosthetics that they do in the movies. And they sprinkle in some comedy with the input from the industry as well. So not just a scary show, there's also a lot of comedy. It's a great show, number 8 for me. I put the Blues Brothers at number 7. I think it is actually probably one of the most underrated things at Universal Studios Florida. I've never even seen the movie, to be honest with you, so I'm sure I'm gonna get hate for that. But to me, it's just a great show. I think it's high energy. They come out on the street. I think it's great for all ages. I don't think you have to have seen the movie to really appreciate the show. And it's been here for a long time, so I would highly recommend Blues Brothers. Like everything in my top 10, obviously you have to do it, but Blues Brothers is a great show and a great little stop. Of course, it is outside, so if it's a warmer day, you're not going to cool off by any means. At least the ones in Diagon Alley, you get to cool off. But a great show nonetheless and really high energy. Men in Black Alien Attack, I put at number 6 in my ranking. So it is a ride where you zap aliens. So you're training, and then all of a sudden you get dropped right in the middle of Manhattan, and you are zapping all the aliens, and it's actually scored. So the better you do, the higher your score. So you're competing with your vehicle, and then your vehicle is averaged and put against the other vehicle. So then you find out at the end who had the better vehicle score. A couple tips for this one: if you're looking for some of the highest value targets, there's right before your vehicle is scanned, there's some eyes in the tree. That's a good target to aim for. And then also some of the best, these are the 2 highest value, I believe. There's the Fusion exhaust port on the other vehicle. So after you're scanned, you'll hear the ride audio say aim for their Fusion exhaust port, and it's this circular blue red light little oval that's on top of the other ride vehicle, and if you hit it in the right spot, the ride vehicle spins. That gives you a lot of points. I want to say 60,000, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And then of course, push the red button at the end of the ride gives you another 100,000 bonus if you can get that. So that's a few tips. If you're looking for more, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll do a dedicated video to Men in Black. Inside the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley, at the very end of the alley with a giant fire-breathing dragon on top, is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. It's the main and only attraction in Diagon Alley. It's an indoor dark ride with a little hint of roller coaster, and I put it at number 5. I considered putting it in my top 3, but it just didn't quite make it there for me. But it is obviously a phenomenal ride, and really for its time, I think it was really revolutionary. Especially the queue and some of the pre-show elements was really cool. And it is 3D, if I didn't mention that already, and at the end of Diagon Alley. The other show in Diagon Alley is Celestina, Warbeck, and the Banshees, and this is going to surprise probably people, but I put it at number 4. I think this is a really well done show. It's really well rounded in my opinion. I remember the first day that Diagon Alley soft opened, I remember watching this show. It really had an impact. So this was just kind of briefly mentioned in the books that Celestina Warbeck is popular on the Wizarding Wireless Network. And then Universal, in partnership with Warner Brothers, designed this whole show. So all custom songs. There's a holiday version of this as well. I don't think it's quite as good as the regular version that takes place in the rest of the year. And fun fact, if you're kind of a newer Universal fan, you may not know this, pre-COVID, they had audience participation, and they just brought back audience participation really recently. So keep an eye out for that if you haven't seen the show in a while. We have made it into the top 3, and coming in at number 3 for me is the Bourne Stuntacular. So this replaced Terminator, which Terminator was a good show, but the Bourne Stuntacular, that was rude, as evidenced by being in my top 3, is really spectacular. They call it a stuntacular, but I would say it's spectacular. So it combines kind of newer technology with really good stunts. It's definitely my favorite show, I think, at both of the parks. It is a really, really good show, and definitely one I would recommend checking out. It will take a lot of time in your day. It's probably going to take an hour worth of time, especially on a busier day, but I think it's worth it. I warned you that 2 and 3 may be controversial, so here is 2. You can probably figure it out behind me. It is the E.T. Adventure. It's one of the other original attractions here at Universal Studios Florida, and it is a slow-moving dark ride, but in my opinion, as you can tell by my ranking, one of the best attractions here. It is really, I think, aged well. Like a fine wine, really, even though I don't drink, but that's what I would imagine it's like. So suitable for most ages. It is darker, and there's some, I guess, somewhat scary moments, but overall a really enjoyable ride. And of course, the best part, you get to tell your name to E.T. And some people, not me, I would never do this, but some people choose to fib and say a different name. So that is an option, I guess, but I don't know. For me, I'm always Taylor. Coming in at number 1, I know you've been waiting for it, is Revenge of the Mummy. I'm sure you probably could deduce that based off of the other 23, and then you do the math, and then Revenge of the Mummy was the only thing left. But it's an indoor roller coaster. They recently redid it last year, so it's as good as new. All the effects are great. Indoor, fast, and really relaxing as to the heat. Today it's a really hot day. You can cool off. And really, I think a Universal Studios classic. I don't think they can ever get rid of it. So if you enjoyed this video, I've got another one you're really going to enjoy. I rank everything to do at Islands of Adventure just like this, but over at the other park. So I'll leave a link to it right here.